IPMNation.com.
Hello to everyone here at IPMNation.com. Thank you so very much for joining us here at All Natural Being. We're getting ready to kick it off. Thank you so very much for hanging out with us here at All Natural Being.
Live from the Outpost Studios in Columbus, Ohio, you're listening to All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy. Brought to you by IPMNation.com. Get ready for the gong heard round the world.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All Natural Being with Brian Brawdy is designed to shake your sense of self to the core.
It's full contact psychology with an empowering twist, a philosophical loofah for your soul.
For those of you not ready or comfortable releasing your inner superhuman, listener discretion is advised.
Here's your host,
Brian Brawdy.
Very cool. Very cool. Good evening and welcome to All Natural Being. What are you doing to me? Get over here. All Natural Being. Thank you for stopping by the number one rated show here on IPMNation.com, episode 270 of the Gong Heard Round the World. You're in, as I said just moments ago, to All Natural Being. Broadcast as it happens here on IPMNation.com and Facebook for Fly on the Wall video, as you probably already know. We come live from the Outpost Studios in Columbus, Ohio, with rebroadcasts on iTunes and iHeartRadio. Thank you for everyone following us on there. Greetings wherever you are here in the Garden of the Mortals. Top of the day from the truest parts of your mind, wherever you are. Remember that life, it's your labyrinth. Your shot at running the table. That's why we're always putting your heart's highest priority top of the list. Placing your primal scream. I know it gets a bad rap now and then, but your primal scream front and center in your life. Reinstalling and reinstating the true wisdom of your inner whisper, because it's time to reboot your robust, to find your ferocious, to out-brutal the brutal that is the cut and shuffle that fate deals you on a daily basis, and to bring your own bold once and for all. Before we hit it this evening, hello to my friends here in the United States and family, obviously. Canada, Mexico, the UK, my good friends in Ecuador, China, the Philippines, Brazil, India, Australia, Germany, Italy, France, Turkey, Japan, Singapore, Sweden, Israel, South Africa, Puerto Rico, Kenya, the Netherlands, to those joining us from all over the globe. It truly is great to have you with us, and I really am fired up to be driving your bandwagon, to be your biggest fan, to be avidly you. Because as I ask each evening, are you tired of being institutionalized by the intentions of others? Convicted by the constructs of another, remanded to a prison of their rhetoric? Yeah, me too. That's why it's time. It's time to mortal up. So what do you say? Let's go kick in some doors. And I want to say hello here in the thread quickly. Daniela is in Germany. Good morning, Daniela. Thank you so very much. Please tell everyone there we say hello. I hope you have a chance to, while you're there, to bump into Jeremy. Hope everyone's doing well. Josephine, hello. Henry, hello. I'm glad to hear your travels are going well, brother. Thank you for joining us here on All Natural Being. Lisa, thank you so very much. It truly is. You look tan. It's Sue. Well, thank you, Sue, very much. Yeah. I work on it. I'm such a slave to fashion. Sup, Sue. Thank you so much for your time today. My good friend Sue is kind of like my alter ego in a way. As I said to her today on the phone, it's like my alter ego. And it's great to get a chance to hang out with her. So, Sue, thank you so much for your time today. Len, yo, to you as well. Hope all is well in your world. And we're talking, I should mention quickly, it was such great news. Finally, something you can pick up on the Facebook or Twitter or here on social media and hear the great news about the 12 or 13 or 14 younger soccer players in Thailand and their coach that were rescued from what after the fact became an underwater cave. That's just absolutely great news, especially to wake up early one morning, right, as I did this morning, and you get that news, it just sets you right for the rest of the day. And, you see some people going, oh, well, they never should have gone in there. They should have done this. They shouldn't have done that. But bottom line is they're out, and everyone is safe, at least from what they tell us right now. 12 boys and a coach. Sue, thank you very much. 12 boys and a coach. It just is great to realize, and though, you think a lot about the SEAL that was killed in terms of the rescue attempt, you now can focus on the 12 boys and a coach that made it out, thinking, again, about what a great guy, to put down your life in defense of another. So obviously we're thinking about the SEAL that died in this rescue attempt, but thank goodness that the 12 boys and the coach are out. All right, so here's one of the things that I want to talk about. We have a new 800 toll-free number. If you have a chance to call in, want to hang out, kick it around a little bit, it's 833-GO-BU. That's 833, 462-3968. Ijerba, nice to see you. I was thinking about you the other day. I saw a picture of you and some of your friends up on Facebook. Great looking picture. It's nice to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Lisa, you have to deal with whatever comes. I absolutely agree, Lisa. That's the story of my life. You deal with whatever comes. Dallas, good evening, and thank you for watching us here at All Natural Being. As I say, we have a toll-free number, a new toll-free number, 833-462-3968 or 833-GO-BU. Because ultimately, All Natural Being is about that. All Natural Being is about you rallying the very best parts of you, right? You putting your heart's highest priority top of your list. So that all the critics, all the people that are going to line up, everyone that's going to say, oh, you can't do that. That's just, that's hedonistic. What's another one? That's narcissistic. You hear that one a lot. And all I'm here to simply say is that from time to time, maybe a 20-minute victory, maybe, right? 1/72 of your overall day, you could go ahead and put your heart's highest priority top of the list. You can ignore all the critics. You can ignore all the naysayers. Ignore all the different people that are just, you know who they are. You know who I'm talking about, right? Just, they don't want you leading your life the way you want to, right? So what do you got to do? You just got to ignore them and say, okay, great. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do it my own way. Doesn't mean we're going to be rude to other people. Doesn't mean we're going to step on other toes. Maybe, right? You don't know. Doesn't mean if we're going to step on other toes. But that we can work to put our heart's highest priority top of the list. And what would that mean to you in your life? What would that mean if you were to say, okay, great, one day I'm going to make sure. Now, whether my destiny is something I believe was encoded in birth or something that you kind of grow with along the way, what do you think your life would be like if you decided to ignore all your critics and put your heart's highest priority top of your list? Oh, I thought I was the real baby in your room. Thank you. Yeah, just for... Yeah. You know what it's like, though. You get the people that are complaining. They go, oh, you can't do that. You can't. You have to worry about me. You have to put my feelings first. You have to do what I want you to do. But what would it take if you put your heart's highest priority top of your list? What would that mean to you in your life? And that's what we focus on here on All Natural Being. For you to go be you. The new toll-free number, 833-GO-BEYOU, go be you, 833-462-3968. Good evening to Tammy. Thank you for joining us here on All Natural Being. And we're talking about, in the 270th episode of All Natural Being, we're talking about just that, what it takes for you to give yourself permission to exercise a little elbow room. In a long conversation with a very dear friend of mine today, just talking about this whole concept of hot heads wrapped in thin skin. And ultimately what it takes in order to be insulted, in order to be offended, in order to be hurt, in order to be maligned, in order to be derailed, you pick the word. In order for any of those things to happen, we have to buy into the rhetoric. We have to buy into the things that people say about us or about our journey or about what it is that truly is our heart's highest priority. In order for that to derail us, we have to buy in. The old saying, it takes two to tango. Well, it's most certainly true when it comes to people and the negative things they have to say, right? Misery loves company. And maybe you're in a situation where you know who they are. Some around you, maybe some more than others, really don't want you putting your heart's highest priority top of the list, because then it kind of puts them in a little bit of a backseat, at least so they think. But that ultimately to be offended, ultimately to be hurt, ultimately to be derailed by the words of another, you have to sign off. You have to buy into those words. And I know I had a great conversation today where someone, I'll tell you this way, a long time ago, and I was reminded of this in the conversation today. A friend of mine said, oh, well, he was busy, he was walking down the street and was accosted by someone. He was just on the verge of being mugged, and he had a concealed carry permit, so it turned out a little differently than the mugger thought. But he talked to me about what it was like to go out at certain parts of town, certain parts of night, certain times of the day, to go out, and I just couldn't. I was naive. I couldn't understand. Like, I go, well, just go out, walk down the street, grab the bus, and get on the bus. And he goes, Bri, you're 6'3", you're 200 and, on a good day, 220 pounds. Thank you for noticing. You're 6'3", 220 pounds. You've been doing the same thing for how many years have you been brawling and this and that? And my friend, let's say his name was Sam. Good enough. My friend Sam, he was about 5'6", thin little guy, scrappy, but thin little guy, didn't have an ounce of meat on him, a small little guy. And he goes, Bri, you're just naive. You don't look at life the way I do. And then I thought, maybe I am naive. And if I were 6'9" and 290 pounds, 2% body fat, maybe I'd even look at life differently. But my friend, who was a little more diminutive, a little smaller in frame, said, Right, you just don't look at life like some people do because of your size, because of your ability, maybe being the ex-New York cop, maybe whatever the reason. But I had to come to grips with the fact that maybe I was a little naive, that I wasn't able to see life. Was I ever going to be able to see life through his perspective? You know, when you think about it now, you think everyone's screaming and hollering. I heard someone say the other day, the country's never been more divided. This person doesn't like that person. This race doesn't like that race. This ethnicity doesn't like that ethnicity. And, you know, and my response is, look, for the want of a little bit, a few trillion gallons of salt water, we all come from the same piece of earth, right? And when you believe we were evicted from the Garden of Eden or walked off the savannas of Africa, we're all the same, right? We're all from the same family. We're all the same people. We're all the same group. Everyone wants to talk about authenticity. And, you know, I'm the first one usually to throw authenticity, to say, look, throw it on the top of the heap. You want to be authentic. But this whole sense of ethnicity, well, this is my ethnicity. This is where I'm from. Like you had anything to do with where it was when your parents decided to play slap and tickle, and 9 months later you come along. Like you had any say in that at all. But we'll go ahead and we'll get all riled up and we'll be all offended, and no one can say anything to anyone else because of cultural appropriation and all these other things. Then I had to stop and think about my friend. Am I naive? Do I just not understand? And I thought, you know, a lot of people say, well, you know, if you had a different skin color, if you were for a different part of the world, if you had any of these other things, then you would understand what people are subject to. Henry says, anytime we react to what people say negatively, we have given them control of us. When we are happy with ourselves, we have no reason to react. You know what? I would absolutely agree with that, Henry. I think it's Cicero that says when you have a depressed or a concave soul, that's when the bee knows to sting. But I think about it in terms of, let's just say in terms of chi in martial arts. You see these guys that you can shoot them with arrows, you can hit them with baseball bats, they break bricks over their head and this and that. That chi builds up from the inside, and it's a force that pushes out. But what happened to us where we decided to be so porous? And I think quite possibly one of the greatest pathologies facing the human race today is this sense of being porous. You got an example? Let me know. 833-GO-BU, 833-462-3968. It's toll free. So in getting back to this whole thing, if I was naive, did I not see it? And I thought back, when people say, oh, well, if you were a different skin color, if you were a different ethnicity, or any of these different things, you would see it. And I thought back to myself, as hard as I try, you have to just admit that, okay, maybe I can't walk in the shoes of another person. Maybe I don't understand particularly what other people are talking about. And then I thought, wait a minute. From the smallest time I can remember, and if you know of anyone, if you yourself were ever subject to this, or a family member, a friend, from the earliest memories I have are being born with a hair lip. I had no upper lip for the first year of my life. And, you go to kindergarten and first graders, they're just great about it, right? Like, they never make fun of you. They never make fun of your cleft palate. They never make fun of the way you look or the way you talk. They never walk around pushing on one side of the nose, or they never make, they just bully you because of the way your face was constructed at birth. And I thought, I may not know. Maybe I am naive. Maybe I don't know about some of the plights of other people, but I most certainly know what it's like to be ostracized because of the way you look. I've been fighting the same battle with the mirror and bullies and people that want to be critical about other people with hair lips. I've been fighting that battle for 50-some years now, maybe even before I remember. So I thought about that naivete. Hey, Jared, nice to see you. Thank you for joining us here on All Natural Being. And I think that a function of it is that at times when we want to get so upset, at times where we want to think all these other things and we want to go ahead and throw into the fray and we want to let other people offend us. And maybe we are a bit naive from time to time. But the way around it is to have a certain sense of respect for yourself. Because if you have respect for yourself, right, the next step is kind of hard to disrespect someone else, especially if you believe we're all from the same planet, right? As I said, other than a few gallons of salt water, other than my friend Henry put up the other day, what would it take for realize, or, what specifically does it take, if I remember his question, what specifically does it take, or would it take for people to realize that we're all connected? And I go, well, how about a simple knowledge of tectonic plate shifts, right? That is, if you can go back far enough in time, everyone wants their DNA. Everyone wants to know, should they be wearing a lederhosen or a kilt or, some other kind of wrap, whatever. But you go back far enough in time, we were all from the same continent. And then something that you had absolutely no control over, no one had any control over, tectonic plate shifts decided that, right, salt water was going to fill in. But now we're going to run the risk of destroying ourselves. We're going to pick fights. We're going to be in brawls. We're going to be all upset over, as I say, a few gallons of salt water. And the conversation made me really think, what else is it that I'm naive about? What else, right? If I really wanted to be truthful and go, okay, what else could I be naive about? Well, here's something that I think maybe we can all at least have a moment in time where you felt the same way. I think there's times where I think, oh man, why did this happen to me? What's going on with me, right? Why this? Why that? But it's naive to believe anything other than human life is dynamic. And regardless, here's my picture of the troll. I get my new picture of the troll up. Regardless of the trolls in your life, stuff happens. Things happen. And all you can do is go, great. Whatever the cut and shuffle of fate is, you and I are here to out-brutal the brutal. And we're naive to believe, we're targeted. Yeah, we're all targeted. Our environment is nothing more than one giant scavenger hunt for our mental and physical health. But ultimately, what we're responsible for is the counterpunch. Good evening, John. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us, brother. What we are responsible for is the counterpunch, so that we can say, no matter what fate does, we're going to out-brutal the brutal. No matter what happens, we're not going to tuck our tails and run. We're going to square our shoulders with fate and go, I'm in. I'm in. I can handle whatever's going to be thrown at me. And maybe at times I'm naive. Maybe it's naive to believe that human beings can withstand a good bit more than they ever give themselves credit for. Maybe I'm naive that I think that no matter what happens to you, you truly are capable of the counterpunch. As long as you're still here, you're still in the game, the labyrinth of life, the ups, the downs, the lefts, the rights, the pivots, the swerves. All cul-de-sacs, no dead ends, maybe some blind alleys from time to time. But that ultimately you're able to withstand the slings and arrows of fate, the cut and shuffle. You're able to out-brutal the brutal. Maybe that's naive. And maybe like my friend who said, Bri, you look at life differently because of your size. But I just can't bring myself to believe that, to be honest. And that I think that ultimately the meaning of human life, of all human life, is your ultimate potential. However it's directed, however it becomes a probability, however it's manifest in your life, your potential, the blending of you in this particular moment in all of time, what it is that you can pull off. And as I said today, talking to my friend, things are hurtful. Okay, I'm trying to think back at a time where people made fun of me having a hair lip, right? You're walking around going like this, or saying this is the way Brian talks. Instrumental for me getting some training when I was young, right? Same training that I stuck with all my life. Maybe it's naive to believe that just because of the way I look at life that I can't remember a time, this big thing now, and I know I'll get in trouble. And this is when the people around me, I get the side eye and the, the eye roll and everything else. But, given my run-ins when I was younger with a priest, it would be real easy in life to go, oh, well, given what happened to me when I was younger, it happened to me too. Right. And so now I'm going to be offended. I'm going to be outraged. I'm going to be wounded. I'm going to be a victim in some way. Maybe it's naive of me to believe that, no, I get to decide. You don't get to decide. I don't give a crap about what you think. Right? Maybe it's naive of me to say, yeah, with everything that happened to me when I was a little kid, it's up to me to decide whether I'm a victim. Me too. Whatever. Right? And people are going to say, oh, no, you can't say that. Where's your sense of compassion? I'm having all the compassion in the world. Well, I just don't believe that human wherewithal can be watered down by the words of another person. Your true potential. I talked about earlier in the week exercising your elbow room. I don't believe your true potential can be watered down by the words of another. And I guess I would ask, if you allow the words of another to water down your ultimate wherewithal, what are you doing? You look at all the fighting that's going on now. You just turn on any news, all the different political camps, all the different religious camps, all the different societal camps, all the fighting that's going on, right? We're given a human brain, gifted or granted, or just it plain grew, however you look at it. But now this morning you woke up, you were gifted with a human brain. And you decide to use that gift by letting the words of another person offend you, outrage you, hurt you? How does that make sense? How does it make sense not to put your heart's highest priority top of your list? And instead of running around being victimized, of being offended, of being hurt, of being outraged, about being all these other things, by the words of another. One day you wake up and you go, yeah, you know what? I'm not going to put up with that anymore. I've decided, who knows if, I love this. Oh, well, this is the only life you have. What the hell do I know? Maybe it isn't. Maybe there is an afterlife. But what I do know is that this particular run that I've been given, just the sheer chance of having been given this life right? Whether you believe in the pulpit or the petri dish, right? Having been given the gray matter, I'm going to allow the words of another to ruin what few days I have left? Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you go, yeah, you know what? Sorry, I listen to crap weasels on Thursday, but today's not Thursday, so as a crap weasel, you'll understand if I ignore your opinion. Right? Crap Weasel Thursdays. Get back to me. I may go. Your call just may go to voicemail on Thursday, but as a Crap Weasel, you're welcome to keep trying. Right? Good evening, Candace. Thank you for joining us here on All Natural Being. As Henry says, it's up to all of us to realize the real us, accept the real us, and stop being so concerned with what others think and say about us. Absolutely agreed, Henry. 833-GO-BE-YOU. 833-462-3968. If you want to call in, as I say, it's toll free. And then you just got to wonder, maybe I am naive. Maybe the human mind was built to be porous. Maybe the human sense of self was built to be maligned. Maybe human wherewithal was built to be restricted in some way, but I just don't believe it, naive or not. If it stings, it's because we let it sting. If it hurts, it's because we let it hurt. If it offends us, it's because, as I've said before, hi, Candace, nice to see you. Only the offendable can be offended. You don't want to be offended? I have an idea. Don't be offendable. It's like, don't be allergic to the words of another. And then wait and see how absolutely phenomenal your life becomes when you're not going to get caught up. Right? You're not going to get caught up in all the jargon from the crap weasels running around. Convincing you, right? Maybe it's misery loves company, or they just plain want to convince you that you should do it their way because they somehow know better than you do. But what if tomorrow were the morning that you decided you're going to put your heart's highest priority top of your list? What would you do? What's the first thing you would do? If you said, yeah, I know all the critics. I know Brian says crap weasels will wait till Thursday. All the critics are going to come out and go, oh, no, you can't do this. You can't do that. You can't be happy. You can't smile. You can't have a life full of joy. What would you do? What would you do? What's the first thing you would do tomorrow morning if you said, no, I'm going to be a little selfish. I'm going to be a little narcissistic. I think I will put my heart's highest priority top of my list. What have you been waiting to do? What have you put in the back seat, in the junk drawer, in the dustbin? What are those things that you've waited to do? No permission. No procrastination. No plagiarism. Don't do it like other people have done it. What is that? Your unique talent. What is it that you're here to express? What's your elbow room look like? 833-462-3968. 833-GO-BE-YOU. What would your day look like tomorrow morning if you decided, you know what, I'm going to take Brian's advice. Go be you. I am going to. Go be me. And countless scientific studies now tell us that the simple action of what you're doing, right? You don't get a smile on your face and then because you're smiling you do an action. The sharpest minds in human history are now telling us that you do the action, that's what brings the smile. William James, pretend as if. Good evening, Kelly. Thank you for joining us here on All Natural Being. Hope all's well. Right? Pretend as if. Not pretend as if you were given some bauble, pretend as if you won the lottery, pretend as if all these other things. Although, my opinion, you did win the lottery. You and I are still here. We've won the lottery. But pretend as if you're like, Oh, I'd like to be happy. Great. How would you stand? How would you breathe? How would you hold your shoulders? How would you present yourself if you were happy? Right? Oh, I know. I'd like to be thrilled. How would you walk? How would you sit? What would you do? If you were in this particular moment right now, thrilled, what would your elbow room look like? John says, my elbow room is crowded by the tyrannical system we are slaves to. Hello, Kelly. So I would ask John, what is it that you and I can do not to be a slave to the tyrannical system? Is there a chance of exercising our elbow room, getting a little stronger? Maybe some people it's been so long since I've exercised my elbow room, I wouldn't even know what to do. So maybe we do that in 20-minute victories. Maybe we do just that little bit. So what could you do for 1/72nd of your day? Maybe just to exercise a little bit of your elbow room. To put your heart's highest priority at top of the list. To say the hell with the tyrannical system that we're slaves to. And go, I'm not going to be shackled anymore. I'm not going to be a slave to this anymore. And yeah, maybe I'm naive. Maybe there's some things that I just don't understand. Divest, John says. I like it, John. First thing we could do is divest in the opinion of others whose opinions really are more propaganda, more proselytizing, more philosophizing. It really doesn't put our heart's highest priority top of the list, not like the action would. Divest from the opinions of others, divest from criticism, maybe even self-criticism, right? The things that we say to ourselves, the language that we use towards ourselves. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's a part of my naivete, is that if we're busy going after everybody else, slamming them for, they said this, or they wore that, or they acted like this, or they acted like that, or maybe we don't realize that the ultimate culprit is you and me. That maybe our co-conspiracy is what we should divest in. John, what do you think? We divest in our co-conspiracy that says that we have to buy in to all the different things, the crap weasels, the walking Venus fly traps that'll hold you back, the pits of quicksand with two legs. But if your potential is just this side of infinite, what would you do? What would you do? Would you go be you? 833-462-3968. 833-462-3968. John says, don't fear to address the elephant in the room. Say the unpopular opinions. Be that which we seek. But then I wonder, John, what if we're the elephant in the room? What if I'm the elephant in the room? What if it's my own naivete that causes me to look at things differently? So I thought about this all day. Or you're a human being gifted with a human mind and nearly infinite potential. Why would you possibly let the words of another derail you for even a moment? Thank you, Izherba, very much. It is so nice to see your smile pop up. It's a small one, right? There's these little circles right here. I don't know if you can see, right? Well, let me do it this way. I don't know if you can see, but let's do it this way. But it's very nice. I try to read it. That's why I got glasses on, so I can read. Oh, what am I doing here? So I can see everyone's feelings. So, Izherba, it's always nice to see your smile pop up. But what are you doing with your potential? Are you going to let it be sidetracked? Are you going to let it be derailed by the words of another? By the actions of another? By the opinions of another? Thank you, Izherba. I hope to catch up with you soon, my friend. It's been too long since we've spoke. Been too long. What would you do if tomorrow morning you were like, okay, potential, just this side of infinite. What would I do with that? Because, right, maybe your elbow room, maybe the exercising your potential isn't something that you've done. I read an excellent report, study, a scientist that I'm trading emails and correspondence with, who said that most of the things that we know about in life we learned in our first 1,000 days. So a little more than 3 years. In the first 3 years of our life. What would you do if this were your opportunity to unlearn some of those lessons? Like maybe the first 3 years of our life, maybe it wasn't all that smooth. But it doesn't mean we're going to be remanded to the rhetoric of another person, that we're always looked out to the people in our life until, up until a certain age, so that they could provide for you. They could provide shelter. They could provide food, a hug from time to time. Ijurba says the sky would not be the limit. That's why I've always liked Emily Dickinson. The brain is wider than the sky. I always think about that, Ijurba. Going through Montana, big sky country, the brain is wider than the sky. That's why I'm always fascinated whenever I get to see, and Ijurba, you see it a good bit more often than I do. Henry, I know you see it a good bit more often than I do, for certain. But whenever I get to see the Milky Way, imagining what it would have been like thousands of years ago, maybe 1,000 years ago, maybe not even 1,000 years ago, before there was electric light, what it was like to lie down on the ground, look up at the nighttime sky, and see the Milky Way. And then, of course, as one would, you plagiarize Emily Dickinson and go, the brain is wider than the Milky Way, right? Why wouldn't you? What's she going to do about it, right? As John said, it's not the words that are hurting. It's that the sheeple in the crowd are afraid to speak out and move over. Act out. Action is the key. Speak up and take action. Well, most certainly, John, if you're going to take action, and it begins in the mirror, you're going to take action where you draw your own line in the sand. You're going to take action and go, am I being naive? Am I the elephant in the room? Am I my own biggest roadblock? Instead of looking around us for all the other reasons why we might be derailed, all the other reasons that we might be unhappy, all the other reasons that we might be uncertain, what if we're just uncertain about ourselves? And as I believe that each of us has potential, as I said, just this side of infinity, why would anyone's drool derail you? All right, let's leave the phone lines open for a few more, because they're just ringing off the hook, right? Let's leave the phone lines open a little longer. 833-GO-BU, 833-462-3968. Little bit of shopkeeping, if you will. We're going to start, we go back and forth. Are we going to do it in the mornings? Are we going to do the evenings? And you got daylight savings time, and you got this and that, and all these other things. So what we're going to do, thank you, John. What we're going to do is start building All Natural Being to ultimately a 3-hour show from 8 to 11. Yes, I just had to check to make sure I did the math right. 3-hour show from 8 to 11 each evening, where you'll be able to call in toll free, and we'll be able to talk about some of these things. We'll be able to talk about some of the, as we said last week, some of the behavior that we see that, we find just absolutely gutless. We're going to talk about some of those things. What would it take for you to go be you? What specifically would it take? And we're going to build to where we get that 3-hour show. Now, over at IPMNation.com, our good friend Henry Noel, he's got Transformation Radio over at IPMNation.com/live4. He's going to start building up the programming over there as well. So we hope very, very soon, very, very soon, to have the ability to have a 3-hour call-in show and then supported by all the other content. Yajira, I'm hoping one day. John, I'm hoping one day. Kelly, I'm hoping one day for certain that you'll go, hey, you know what, Candace, I'm hoping one day you'll go, hey, I got an idea. I know what I'd like to do. I know what we could talk about. I'd like for the opportunity for you to call in and tell us what you're thinking about. I'm building up the courage, or whatever you want to call it, to call in. John, you call anytime you want, brother. Maybe we'll save it for tomorrow night. We'll work on it. Then you call in tomorrow night. We can even talk about the weather. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Let me just say this. The world, as it's structured right now, it's going to be too easy to get into the fray. It's going to be too easy for everyone and their brother to want to find a reason for us to fight, to want to find a reason to separate us, to want to find a reason to drive a wedge between us. And I think the function of All Natural You is, all I ask is, don't drive a wedge between you and yourself. The best parts of you, the all natural you, the wild at the core. Don't buy into all the mashugana of the marketplace. Make Thursday the day that you take the call from all the crap weasels in your life. And then go, oh, you know what? I left my phone at home Thursday. What was I thinking? Sorry, it went to voicemail. It's full already. Right? Don't drive that wedge between you and the very best parts of you, between you and your heart, between you and your wild at the core, between you and your all-natural being. And if that makes me naive, then I guess I'm destined to go through life naive. But I believe ultimately in the epitome of the human mind, the human heart, the human spirit, the human wherewithal. Thank you, Yajira, very much. If that makes me naive, I'm naive. All right, thank you all so very much for joining us here at All Natural Being. We'll be back tomorrow night. Is tomorrow Wednesday? Yes. Oh, 271st episode. Yeah, now it's all a countdown to 300. Who are we kidding? But I'll be back tomorrow night if you get a chance. Let me give you the number now, 833-GO-BU, 833-462-3968. Thank you for everyone for joining me this evening. If you need anything, you can also text us at this number, by the way. Didn't know it, or instant message me over at Facebook. Thank you so very much for everything. I look forward to hanging out with you tomorrow evening. Have an absolutely fantastic evening.
IPMNation.com.